Hi everyone, welcome to the free TouchDesigner tutorial. I'm Harry. Today I'll share a particle GPU setup built in the 2025 version of TouchDesigner. If you use older versions you may run into issues, so I recommend using 2025. Here you can see a demo. Particles emitted from a ring. First we can create a circle. Then we can go to chops and create a constant. And we input its preset values. We put in a resolution preset, one for X and one for Y. For now we use 1920x1080. Later you can change it according to your needs. Then we map that to the circle's resolution. Then we make its size a bit smaller so it fits inside the frame. Here we remove its fill. Then we increase the thickness of the outer edge outline and change it to white. So the basic emitter shape is done. But if you want it to have some disturbance, so it's not so regular, we can add a displace and add a noise. For this noise, we can also map it using resolution. Then we connect it. I see the strength is very large now, so we reduce it. Change it to 0.01. That way the edge will have a little displacement effect. Here we can adjust the displacement. For example, if we want it to have some movement, we add abs time, seconds. Then multiply by 0.1. It will then have some slight motion. Then we can adjust the noise parameters, like period to make the overall noise size larger, and reduce exponent a bit. You can tweak these yourself. Then create a node afterward. Okay, so that's the basic emitter shape. Next, we need to combine it with our overall UV. Because if you look at the palette on the left, we select Tools, and then we can drag out the particle GPU. Now we need to feed our shape into its particle source. In other words, we need to provide a correct UV. If we just drag the circle directly in, it won't be a correct UV. So here we'll create a ramp to make a basic UV. First, set it up. Change resolution to 512. And be careful to set pix format to 32-bit RGBA. Okay, then duplicate it. Change its tab to vertical distribution. Then we create a reorder. The purpose of reorder is to make a simple UV. Okay. Now you can see we connect to reorder inputs 1 and 2. So set them to input 1 and input 2. Because we only use X and Y, set blue to 0. Okay, that's the basic state. Next, we need to connect our circle in. Now it's connected, and we also connect it to input 4, so set that to input 4. Here, press the plus to view as point. We can see it now in 3D and see its shape. It's a bit distorted because the ramp is 1.1 and our target is 16.9, so it gets stretched. We will fix that later using a point transform. Okay, here also view as point. Now change its scale. Because we want 16.9, set X scale to 16 divided by 9. Now you can see the proportions are normal, but the axis is not at its center. We need to change its X position here. Change origin X the same way. Okay, now you can see it's in the exact center. That way when the particle GPU emits, it will be centered. That's what we want. Then create a node afterward. This can also be used to display. Okay, then connect it to our first input. Let's see what changes. We can observe now. Press the plus, then press H, then select the particle GPU and remove its downward force. Then change its material to line, because I don't need leaves. We see now it's very small at the center point, right? This is our circle, and the particles are fewer and small, so we need to fix that. First, we change some parameters. We can see it has an outer boundary box. That's the boundary, limit box. Set it to not visible, don't show it. To number of particles, so we can precisely control particle count. Change it to 100,000 and keep the same number in the corresponding setting. Then you can see it's very small. Still in transform, change size. Uniform scale to 7. Then create a keyboard in and map it to reset. So we can reset easily for observation. Then create an out node at the first out for easier observation and turn on its viewer, blue dot. See, the particles look a bit coarse. We need to change resolution and map its parameters over. Layout is the same. Later, we'll unify and change resolution everywhere. Now modify particle state. First change its life to random between 0.25 and 3. Change one side to 0.2. Set size to a similar scale. Type 3. Reset again. We need to add some velocity here. Increase velocity to 0.4. You don't have to copy me exactly. You can change parameters including whether you want it exactly at center or offset a bit. We can add some more wind speed here. For turbulence, you can choose a preset for its turbulence. Double-click into the particle GPU and we'll see extra force. Copy it out. We copy it. If it errors, click it once to fix. Then select it, go to Force, and drag it into the slot. Now it's connected. Then edit it here. First give it some amount strength. And set its scale to say 7 or 8 so the force affects particles in that range. To make it spread outward, set amount to -1 so it pushes out. Too many particles pushing upward. Give an extra 0.5 to pull it down a bit. Adjust according to your taste. You can also change the wind force so it doesn't bias upward. Okay, that keeps the core pretty centered. Next, add color. Use a ramp. Then convert it to chop using top to chop. Create a node and rename it color. Then, in Particle GPU, in Render, drag that chop into Color Lookup. Change color type to lookup. Now the ramp controls particle color. For my reference, I want the inner area to match the reference image. I set the interior to deep blue, outer, a lighter blue, and the outside highlights white. You can change as you like. Maybe add a bit of yellow. Okay, that's one state. Now the inner sphere is created. Close the purple force panel. Then we create its outer layer, which emits outward. This is simple. Just duplicate it. I might change the emitter point to be slightly larger, so duplicate again the point transform and create another node. In other words, we separate emission for the outer ring. Change its connection accordingly. For example, set scale to 7.5 so it's one ring larger. Then create a composite top with add mode to blend them together. Create a node for that. Now we are slightly larger and wrapped outside, 2 layers stacked. Now we can just tweak parameters to match the demo. First, increase particle count to 200,000. This depends on your machine's performance. Increase lifetime so particles can spread outward. We want a longer life so they can diffuse out. You'll see particles spreading outward. The particle size is a bit coarse, so reduce to 1.6. Now change the force. Select Force, set to Velocity. Double-click into ParticleGPU. This section is essentially the turbulence preset. You can change turbulence detail via these parameters. Copy this to the exterior, same as we did for extra force earlier. Copy it out, then paste it in the outer group and adjust there. Add a black background so we can see more clearly. Actually, the difference is the force needs to be recreated because the interior force was wrapped inside. For the outer one, we need larger values. Give it new values. Now we use this force and enable its viewer to show it. That looks smaller, so change scale to 9 to make it larger. And set strength amount to 1.5, negative to push out. OK. Next, add a camera. Replace the default camera in the render with a camera comp. I want to make a camera animation, so I'll use a camera sequence. Drag that camera into render's camera slot. Same camera, keep consistent. Now just adjust camera position. Generally, the state is like this. Turn off the camera's default motion values, if any, because it might have some non-default movement. After removing those, the state will be similar to my example. Then we can add post effects like glow, tune values, and color parameters. You can also stack different layers. For deeper look, I stacked 2 or 3 particle GPUs. You can composite another layer inside. You can also follow my original example to add outer particles or internal fill particles, also done with particle GPU. If you want the original project file, I will put it in my store for purchase, or you can just follow along and build it yourself. Either is fine. You can adjust colors via HSB to nudge subtle changes. I prefer low saturation. You can also change camera positions. For the first view, I save that camera position. Then drag for a close-up view and save that too. You can use chops to do a switch between two camera views so it feels natural. For example, use an oscillator chop to switch between views. Add a small amount of mass, slow speed like 0.1, set one value to 1 and map it. Then you get a camera cut transition effect. If you want more camera groups, same idea. That's it for today's tutorial. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like it, please follow, bookmark, and like. Thank you.